Okay, we're officially live. Give it a few moments for some people on socials to jump in the stream. Okay, the regular session is officially over. Got a few companies reporting earnings. Hey, what's up, everybody? A few people jumped on. Got Worthington Enterprises. They're reporting earnings. I believe at 4:15. Lennar's reporting as well. The info I got says Lennar reports at 5:50 p.m. Eastern. They're located in the US, so I'm not sure what the weird time for the earnings report. Usually it's 4:30 around there. But Lennar, we talk about them first. We got a little bit of time to burn here, but their forecast EPS is $2.23. Forecast revenue $9.15 billion. And they're trading just below their anchored VWAP, around 120 a share. Well, actually, they closed lower than that today. Let me just see. Yeah, they closed the regular session at $117.60 a share, down a little under 2% today. And as far as Worthington Industries, they report at 4:15 p.m. Eastern. It's about 15 more minutes for them. Forecast EPS 0.71, forecast revenue 301.7 million. They're trading just above their anchor VWAP, around 55 a share is where their anchor VWAP is. So, but let's look at both these companies in a little more detail since we got a little bit of time to burn. Go over the income statements, just a quick view, and we'll look at the balance sheet, some other fundamentals about the company. Let's do Lennar first. So again, they were down a little under 2% today during the regular session. Obviously downtraded most of the day. See the chart on the right here. I'm gonna go to TradingView actually. Well, no, I'll stick with this. So their trailing 12-month PE is 11.62, so that's good. Nice and positive there. EPS 10.12. They do pay a dividend as well. This is for Lennar, the home builder over here in Florida. They pay 1.7% dividend. Let's see when they pay those. I'm assuming quarterly. Their last dividend, or their last ex-div date was 10/10, which October 10th, so about 2 months ago. Then they paid one in July, and then in April. Whoa, did you see that big wick on WOR? That was crazy. So yeah, Lennar pays a quarterly dividend. Go back intraday here. They're getting a little volatile as well. They just wicked up to 119.73 and came back down. Now they're trading right where they closed the regular session at. Does look like some increased buy orders over here on the order book. So yeah, I think earnings whispers had the time wrong. They said they were reporting at 5:50 Eastern. It's looking like it's probably out now. Look at this volatility coming in. There's a lot of orders stacked on the buy side. So that looks good. Okay, so we'll probably get that data after all. I wasn't sure if we'd get it or not. But let's look at Lennar real quick. Okay, both stocks getting some volatility here. Going into the earnings, Lennar did have positive net income, a little more than $500 million in positive net income. Past 3 quarters, it's been holding steady right around $500 million. You can see Q4 of 2024, they made over $1 billion in positive net income. Q3 of 2024, over $1 billion. So they had some good quarters then, but past 3 quarters, about $500 million. You can see the year-over-year numbers were kind of red there, pretty red actually. But that's okay. They're still a profitable company. They got positive net income. That's okay. And balance sheet. Debt to asset, only 34%, is kind of trending up a little bit, but nonetheless, debt to asset is still pretty low, only 34% on that. So that's good. Cash and equivalents as of August 31st, 1.66 billion. Pretty strong cash and equivalent position. Property, plant, and equipment, it's like hard assets, 285 million on that front. That's good. There's the reason they're trading up here in the hundreds. Don't think the data's out yet, but we're seeing some pretty volatile candles here. Let me just check my other screen and see if maybe it's out. The price is kind of frozen a little bit right now. Trade in post market, right below where it closed the regular session. Like I said, I just noticed this level 2 order book. There's a ton of buys on this stacked up here. The buy side imbalance looks good for now for the bulls, but let's look at the previous 10 earnings and see how they reacted to those. That might give a little bit of insight. I'm just going to go to tip ranks for that. Move this over here. And let's check out Lennar. There it is. Oops, pop up. Okay, you just scroll down. Okay, so this is like the last 10 earnings. Keeps popping me out. All right, we'll look at this later. I'm not paying no premium subscription for tip ranks. I reached my limit for the month, I guess. That's all right. I want to look at, let me look at my other screen and see if I do got any data here. There's some buying going on Lennar right now. Okay, here's a good, this is from Bespoke, Bespoke Investments. They got a nice chart for us here. So this is a good historical look here at some data. So they normally do a good job beating EPS. Couple red blips here from June and December of 2024. Revenue, kind of hit or miss, but they beat revenue more times than not, according to these past earnings here. But it looks like they typically have a negative reaction. So just something to keep your eye on there. I just wanted to point that out. Let's look at the daily chart. I'm going to go to TradingView on this. So if they get a positive reaction, probably going to have some resistance. Let me pull up the volume profile real quick. And let's just make this bigger. Let's just take a look at some of this here. So they closed the regular session at 117. Looks like there might be some resistance around the 122 area. I'd be looking for that to break if it gets a positive reaction. Looks like there is a little gap here to 124. Let's see if Webull has the same thing. Sometimes TradingView and Webull have discrepancies, but yeah, there is a gap here to 124. Positive reaction, that's going to be my level to the upside, 124. I'm going to, let me draw a horizontal line on this. I mean, 122 to 1 and then 124, so probably like 2 levels there. I was just looking at the volume that came in the low 120s, like 122 basically. And that's the bottom of the gap. So yeah, I'll keep that level there. And then if the gap gets filled, that'll take it to 124 around there. Those are my 2 levels to the upside on the bigger time frame. If it can clear those 2 levels and mitigate those 2 levels, this thing probably be back up to 130. That's probably going to be my next level if we can do 124. I like 130. Nice even level there, up there. So if it gets a negative reaction, I'll be looking right around 112 for support. So I'll put a line there. Pretty easy. And if 112 doesn't hold, it's probably just going to be the mental level around $100. So I got my levels plotted out. I'm going to make my top side levels green. Oops, wrong one. There we go. And then I'll just keep these on the chart and see what happens when they get the earnings reaction. It looks like they're still kind of flat. You see the post-market prices around 117 and some change. But let me do this. Make this green, and then my downside levels, I'll make those red. And then that'll be fine for this for now until we get the reaction. All right. I'll just leave those levels on the bigger time frame. That way when I zoom into the smaller time frames, they're there waiting for me. Big Buck Wall Street on YouTube, how are you doing? Good to see you. Glad you can join us. Yeah, I'm going over Lennar right now. I'm back to the intraday chart. They had a little bit of volatility there for a little bit, and now they're just not really doing much. Earnings whispers say they report at 5:50 p.m. So if that's the case, we might not, I don't think I'm going to be streaming for 2 hours, but at least we got to look at some levels on the bigger time frames. You kind of know where some levels of interest are on the bigger time frames based on volume and price action. So we'll see how their stock price ends up reacting to the earnings data once it gets released. I don't think it's released yet. Let me just double check, but price is not really doing much right now. But like I say, it did get volatile there for a little bit, and there was a buy side imbalance on the level 2 over here. So we'll just have to see, but I don't think the data's out yet. Let's look at a few other things. Got analyst Katie Hubbard believes Lennar will beat on earnings after the bell today. And let's just see what some of the forecasts are. So there's some selling coming in now on Lennar. Look at these wild wicks on WOR. Okay, cool. So, Big Buck, you picked up put strike 117. Yeah, I mean, I like that. You bought that in the money. I mean, unless you bought it this afternoon, it was a little above 117. But yeah, the 117 put, I mean, if this gets a negative reaction, that's going to print pretty good. Not sure what expiration date you got. You might have just done Friday's expiration because you're basically just trading the earnings catalyst, right? 117 put was selling for about $300 when the regular session closed. That has a delta of 50. So yeah, if they get a negative reaction, that 117 put with the 50 delta, that's going to pay really good. And the gamma is 0.05, so that gives a little bit extra help for the delta there. That should print pretty good. So that'll be like $55. Well, 0.55 in the option world. Appreciation on the contract for every $1 move it makes to the downside. So that could print hard if this comes down to like 110 or something. So I'm rooting for you on that. Got a bearish trade there. Basically, earnings lotto trade is what we would call them. And anytime I trade through earnings, it's basically hero or zero on these things because these earnings can be a coin toss. We've said this before, but we've seen companies beat forecasts and then they adjust the guidance in a negative way and the investors sell it off. So, just because they beat EPS and revenue doesn't mean you're going to have a positive reaction, but we'll see. Again, it's a little volatile right now. It just came down to 116.5 and now it's back up to 117.80. So your guess is as good as mine as what the reaction is going to be. And that's why when I trade through earnings, it's definitely a scratch-off ticket for me. I prefer to trade outside of earnings announcements and write a lot of contracts and stuff like that. So, and Big Buck Wall Street, appreciate the engagement, by the way. This Friday, made a killing on AVGO, put 380, made over 9,000 on earnings on AVGO. Congratulations on the nice win. Also on YouTube, PB Pookie, Pookie's Revenge. He's one of our coaches over here in the Discord. He's got an announcement. He's got a surprise announcement for everybody. I think we're doing a giveaway. I'm not going to spill the beans yet. I'll let Pookie do that. But Staying in line with the holiday spirit, I believe we're going to be giving some free stuff out. Maybe some free gift cards or some merch or something. So I'll let Pookie's in the chat right now on YouTube. I'll let him give more detail on that when he sees fit. Okay, it's coming in now. So I'll put this on the bottom of my screen. So okay, so we're gonna do free entries for a $50 gift card giveaway for Christmas. That's amazing. I love free stuff, especially around the holidays. I know someone could probably use that $50 and go a long way. That's a nice gift there. Tell your friends, family, coworkers, classmates, neighbors, everyone can get in on this. But yeah, no, that's a nice, that's going to be a nice giveaway there. So again, keep your eye on the chat. Pookie's Revenge will put more details on how to enter that up. I'm assuming he'll have a link that you can go to for your entry. So I'm sure he'll put that in the comments as soon as he's ready. So good stuff. But yeah, still nothing going on with Lennar. I think earnings whispers might be right about the time. And I knew this coming into the stream that, earnings whispers say it's 5:50 p.m. Eastern, just an odd time for earnings release. Like I say, usually we get the data at 4:30 or 4:15, and then they'll do the actual earnings web call at like 5. Not the case with Lennar. Unusual times for the data drop, at least according to what earnings whispers is saying. So. But that's okay. We went over the chart on the bigger time frame. We got some solid levels plotted out, depending on if it gets a positive reaction or negative reaction. These are just levels of interest, especially if it gets a negative reaction, where I would be interested in taking a nibble, possibly going long if it gets a negative reaction. And if it comes down to 112 and it ends up being a dip buy, I'll wait for a few green candles and I'll probably nibble on that. If no buying pressure comes in once it comes down to test 112 and it just kind of breaches it straight through and no potential reversal in sight, I'm going to wait for $100 a share on that, and that's probably going to be a good discount on the stock to where it's trading at now. So again, they're a profitable company. They always have positive net income, so it's a good company. It's not like a crappy biotech stock or something like that. So with that said, we're just kind of waiting on them to drop the data, and until that happens, we really don't know what's gonna happen. But I got some ideas. If it has a negative reaction, I got some ideas on how to maybe pick this up on a discount for a dip buy. Of course, I'll wait for confirmation and some buying pressure to come in and ride the wave back up. And then if it gets a positive reaction, these are just some levels, if you're already long on it, like maybe this is a longer term holding for you that you've had for a while. These would be levels, not financial advice, but levels that would interest me as far as possibly taking profit, trimming the position a little bit, taking a little bit of risk off the table, or maybe these could be some good levels to deploy some covered calls to create some income for yourself. Of course, we'd like to sell the covered calls when it has a positive, price action, because the premium on the calls will be nice and juicy if you deploy the covered calls when it's nice and green. So just a couple ideas for everyone on that. All right, let's look at WOR, Worthington Enterprises. I'm gonna go back intraday on Lennar and keep it on the right side here. So we'll see. I'm hoping we don't, it's not that the 5:50 p.m. Eastern time is. I'm hoping that's not right, because if so, we're just not going to get the data until then. But in the meantime, let's look at Worthington Enterprises. Yeah, big buck. It's getting boring. I hear you, man. Just kind of waiting on the data to drop can be a little annoying. I totally feel you on that, but. We are getting a reaction on WOR. So let me jump to that and see what we got as far as, did they beat EPS? Did they beat revenue? What's their guidance? Is there any commentary from the higher ups? When is their earnings web call? How do you get there? I'll find that out for everybody. If there's any investors here for Worthington Enterprises. So let's take a look here. Okay, so we do got the results. All right, it looks like they missed EPS, but they beat revenue. EPS is up 8% year over year, but they did miss the forecast for this earnings announcement. So they missed EPS, but they beat revenue. Sales came in at 327.4 million, and the expectation was 301.7 million. So they beat revenue by like 26 million bucks. And the revenue is up double digits year over year, 19% year over year. So kind of mixed with the earnings results as far as them beating revenue or EPS. A little bit mixed there. But I do think they did a great job beating revenue, so that's solid. And I have noticed, let me look at a few other things here. I'm gonna go straight to their investor relations page, and we'll find out when they're gonna do their earnings web call and how to get there. So let me go back to the sticks real quick. This is the chart on the left here, WOR. So they are getting a negative reaction. They closed the regular session at $56.29. They were down about 2.5% on the day. Now they're sitting here in after hours trading at $51.50. They are down 8.5% right now. Okay, so let me look up the daily chart. Just kind of see where it looks like there was support in around 52 bucks. It's breached that level. I suppose there was some demand here when it wicked down to $50 and some change. So that's S1 for me for sure, right around 50 bucks. Let's see here. So support level number 1 on Worthington Enterprises on the bigger time frame, 50 bucks. Let me see where the volumes come in at the different levels on this thing. There we go. Nice little nifty volume profile here. You know, there wasn't a lot of volume that came in below 50. I mean, it looks like around 40 bucks is the discount world on this stock. If it comes down to 40, I would be interested in probably going long on this personally. Look at that volume node sticking out like a sore thumb down there. So, you know, this is price action. Okay, this is like 2 months of price action. Let me zoom out further. Okay, so yep, a lot of volume came in around 40. Next level down would be around 30 bucks. That would just be a pretty big hit if they ended up coming down there. But if they get a negative reaction, I'm going to be watching $40 level or first 50, but they're trading just above that right now at $52. 50 would be my first look. If it came down to there, I'd be looking for a bounce. And once I see some buying pressure, could probably ride this back up to the mid to upper 50s potentially. If 50 bucks doesn't hold, I'm going to be looking for a great deal on this stock around 40 bucks a share. I think that would be great. I might even start wheeling it if it comes down there to that level. If it gets a positive reaction, it's pretty clear. I'm going to put that the upper 50s. I mean, close to 60, but not quite. Probably 58 to 59. It's going to be resistance based on volume and price action. And so that's where it rejected from before. So that was resistance on the price action. That was on October, late October. That was resistance. And then it was just recently resistance yesterday. Monday's candle print got rejected off of right around $58 and some change, right around there. So resistance level number 1, right around 58 to 59. There is a gap also to $60. So that's once that gap gets filled, there could be some selling there. So those are the levels I'm looking at if it gets a positive reaction. I'm not currently in WOR, so I'm just kind of planning out some trades. And of course, the top side levels, if you're already long on WOR, those could be levels where you could maybe manage risk, take some profit, that kind of thing. Or again, those would be good levels to possibly sell some covered calls to generate some income. And then these levels to the downside, my plan for this, because I'm not currently in WOR, these are levels I'd be interested in taking a nibble on this, possibly riding a bounce wave back up. 40 would be a great deal on it. Like I said, if it comes down to 40 for whatever reason, I'll probably start running the wheel on that thing, selling cash secured puts to collect some credit. So let me go back intraday. It is getting a negative reaction, and it bounced right around 51.50 is where it just bounced. Very small bounce. This is a tiny green candle, so that's not confirmation enough for me that this is going to reverse. So we'll keep our eye on it. Let's see if maybe it turns into a dead cat bounce and goes lower. If not, I'll be looking for higher lows to start printing. The price action is pretty spotty. It's basically trading on low volume. So anytime it's trading on low volume, you're going to see a bunch of sloppy price action, weird looking candles and gaps between the candles on the smaller time frame. That's just because it's trading on low volume. That's all. I mean, the volume is up based on the 30-day average. 30-day volume average is 160,000 in volume. It did trade 500,000 in volume today. So I do suppose that the volume was a bit higher than normal today, but nonetheless, on the bigger picture, it trades on low volume. So, but we got a plan in place. If it does end up selling off, again, if this thing drops to $40 for whatever reason, that's where I'm interested in personally. Probably start selling some $35 cash secured puts or something like that. Still, well, let me find out when WOR is going to do their earnings web call, and then we'll jump back over to Lennar. I'm going to go to their investor relations page on Lennar and get more info on that. But let me just look up real quick. And then at the end of the stream, I want to go over a spread trade I opened up this afternoon, that I alerted to my Discord members. And some of you might find that trade interesting. I did the trade on Bull, ticker symbol BULL. I am long-term bullish on Bull. So I think they're going to, they just need to get some earnings. They need to get some quarterly earnings under their belts, showing some growth. And I think where Bull is trading at right now is definitely a good place to be accumulating shares. And that's what I've been doing. I do have shares of Bull. So anyways, let's go to WOR, Investor Relations, and find out when they're going to do their call. So let me just scroll down. If you want to know more about the company, matter of fact, just because, WOR, it's not really one of the bigger names, but they're in machinery, tools, heavy vehicles, trains, and ships. So they're a designer and manufacturer of brands that improve everyday life by elevating space and experience. And the company operates with two primary business segments, building products and consumer products. All right. So just a little background about the company. They are located in the U.S. in Ohio. And they've been listed since 2000, so they've been listed for 25 years. So, okay, so let me go back here, find out when they're going to do their call. All right, if you want a deeper dive into their earnings data, again, they missed EPS, but they did a great job beating revenue. They beat revenue by 26 million. So let me actually go back here and post this link for everyone. If you want to take a deeper dive into their earnings data, there's the link right there. That'll take you right to the press release. I'll post this in Discord as well. Mastermind asks, how about Tesla? Yeah, well, I can take a look at Tesla. I mean, Tesla, I am 100% bullish long-term on that. This is for Mastermind on the Discord. I mean, just think, with the robo taxis and the humanoid robots and all this stuff they got planned for the future and that they're working on, 100% longer term bullish on Tesla. I think there is a lot more upside on Tesla. So maybe that's what you were asking, Mastermind, like what I thought about Tesla. I'm absolutely a Tesla bull, just based off of the robo taxis and humanoid robots alone. They got, I think they got great upside there. You know, I know they're kind of an expensive stock, trading at 489, but you know, if you don't have, not financial advice, but if you don't have the capital to trade naked options on this, because I mean, even the Friday expiration, look at these call options at the money selling for like $1,000. I would never buy a 3-day option anyway. But a way you can participate in the options that have more time on it, like this one for January, these things are going for $3,000. Instead of just buying the naked calls, I probably would set up a call debit spread. And that would drastically reduce the buying power needed to participate in these strikes that are at the money or even in the money. Usually I'll straddle the call debit spread, and I'll usually put a lot more time on it. Like, you know, if my horizon, if I think they're going to be bullish. Oh, Big Buck Wall Street on YouTube, your put is printing. Let's take a look. Oh, there you go. Look, Lennar just tested one of our levels at 112. It did get pushed back up to 114, up to 115 now. So I wonder, did their data just drop? So maybe we get their data after all. Let me finish up with WOR, just find out when their earnings web call is. So if you want a deeper dive into WOR's earnings, go to that link on my screen and click the press release, and you can see all, we went over some of this already, but you can look at a lot of the line items like net sales, operating income, earnings before income taxes, net earnings, stuff like that. But let's see when their call is going to end. They also have outlook data statements here as well. The conference call for WOR, Worthington Enterprises, is not until tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. All right, so anyone on the call right now, on the stream right now, listening, that's interested in watching the WOR earnings web call with the higher ups, unfortunately, you got to wait till tomorrow morning. Straight from the horse's mouth, straight from WOR's investor relations page. All right. So now that we know when the call is and how to get there, I'm going to move it back over to Lennar. And they're getting a negative reaction. It's looking like probably congratulations to the Lennar Bears. And let me see if I can get their data, because it looks like it's out. So I guess they reported at 4:30 probably. Earnings Whispers was saying 550. Typo, obviously. But yeah, their data's out. Okay, they missed EPS. They missed EPS. I'm going to pull this. I'm going to share this data from AI Stock Savvy here. Got a little graphic here. So they missed EPS. Again, this is for Lennar. I'm going to keep their price action on the right here so you can still see it. So they are getting a negative reaction. They did come down to 110. And then that got bought up a little bit. And now they're at 113. Nonetheless, they are still red in after hours, down 3.69%, which equates to being down about $4.34 a share. But let's take a look at the data. So the expected EPS was $2.18. They just reported $2.03. So earnings per share, not impressing investors at all. As a matter of fact, it's being taken negatively by investors. That earnings per share figure is also down 49% year over year. That's not good. They did beat revenue expectations, but another red flag is their year over year. There's no growth whatsoever there. Their year over year revenue is actually down almost 6%. Investors hate that. There's no growth. Where's the growth at? Not good. So the revenue expectation was 9.18 billion. They did report 9.37 billion. Again, they did beat revenue by 2%, but the red flag is the non-existent growth. There is no growth whatsoever. It's the opposite. There's decline and growth. Big buck Wall Street, you cracking me up. YouTube says between here and there. Asks, are you playing the call? No, I'm not gonna play the call. This is for between here and there on YouTube. Let me go ahead and find out when their call is going to be. This is probably not until 5, which is only 4:35, so we might have a little bit of time to burn before the call. But let me at least get the time of when that's going down, and I'll give you the link on how to get there as well. So I'll keep Lennar on the right here. Okay, the price action on the right. And let me just scroll down a little bit. Okay, conference call right here. Okay, so this is for, I like to answer the questions in the comments too. So if anyone ever has questions, just let me know. But between here and there on YouTube, the conference call is not until tomorrow, right here. I got it straight from Lennar's investors website. So Wednesday, December 17th at 11 a.m. Eastern. All right, so that's when they're going to do the call. So it's not going to happen tonight, but this is for you between here and there. I'll post this link. If you want to bookmark this link that I just put in the comments, that's how you're going to get to the call. And just set yourself a reminder for 11 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, and then you can listen to the call then. But I hope that saved you some time nonetheless. And if you want to dig deeper into the earnings data for Lennar, you can click on the press release, and they've got it all summarized for everyone right here. So net earnings of 490 million, new orders increased 18% year over year. I have a feeling, this is their website, so I have a feeling they're just going to highlight the positive stuff. That's sometimes they tend to do that and kind of leave the negative stuff, in like very small print or whatever. But all this looks good, and they're posting a bunch of positive highlights here. What they're not highlighting is the fact that their revenue is down almost 6% year over year. They kind of left that out, didn't they? But that's okay. Anyways, if you wanted a deeper dive, go to that link and go to the press release, and then you can read all this yourself on your own time. But we kind of know what's going on with them. There's no year over year growth, and investors don't like that at all. But here's some commentary from them. They say, during the quarter, we delivered 23,034 homes and achieved 20,018 new orders. Our average sales price was $386,000. That's an interesting piece of data to know what their average sales price is on their new construction homes, $386,000. And the average price of homes has obviously increased quite a bit over the years, hasn't it? Recently. And Big Buck Wall Street on YouTube, looking like your 117 put option on Lennar's. I mean, if it stays down here, you're going to be in the money by like $5 a share. And let's just see what the delta was on the in the money. I'm just assuming you have Friday's expiration, but if you're $5 in, this is Tesla. Let me go back to, here it is, Lennar. So 117, if it opens the regular session tomorrow at 112 for whatever reason, you're going to be 5 points in the money, and you probably go from a 34 delta to like over a 50 delta. So yeah, if that happens, those are going to print pretty well for you, I think. So I'm rooting for you. I hope you make some early Christmas present on that, my friend. But let me go back here. Where was I at? I was just reading some commentary. I thought it was interesting. The average sales price of their new home builds is $386,000. That's kind of the average price over here in Florida too. I live over here in Florida. But these houses hitting the market for like $400K. And I remember scooping those things up in $200,000, 5 years ago. Crazy how much the prices have gone up over the recent years. Okay, so they are making a statement about some of the market decline. So they say, this is from Lennar, they say, oh, let me go back intraday on Lennar too. I was on the daily chart. We'll go back to 5 minute so we can just keep an eye on it. Okay, so they say to address continued market declines, we maintained approximately 14% in incentives and price adjustments. So of course, builders like to, when they're addressing the market decline. So when that happens, they give incentives like helping to pay for closing costs, maybe a rate buy down where they buy a couple points for you, things like that. A free stainless steel appliance upgrade package, flooring package. They do stuff like that to help drum up more business. So they say they're continuing to focus on volume, and deliveries for 2025 exceeded those of 2024 by more than 2,300 homes, or 3%. So I suppose there's some growth there with deliveries. But again, their revenue is down almost 6% year over year. Big Buck Wall Street said, thanks, man. Last week, you made 80,000 last week. Man, you're crushing it. Congratulations on the gains, my friend. Not financial advice, of course, talk to your own advisor, but what I do, when I accumulate that kind of money is I just roll it into real estate, to be honest with you, and then I'll just let my real estate deals pay me passive income every month. But that's typically what I do throughout the years. I make money trading throughout the year, and then at the end of the year, it all gets rolled into a passive real estate deal that cash flows every month. And then January, I usually reset my account back to 25K, something like that. So that's usually what I do. Construction cycle times for Lennar moderated to an average of 127 days. So that's like the average construction time, enabling more efficient production. As a result, our inventory turn improved to 2.2 times, supporting both operational efficiency and affordability with less cash required to produce volume. So again, I figured they would only highlight the positives. They tend to do that. But the main thing investors are seeing is no growth with revenue year over year, down 6% on that front. That's not good. But anyways, they're going to do their earnings web call tomorrow. And that's at 11 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. All right. So let me pull that. That's a link on the bottom of my screen. It's been up there long enough. People should have had time to screenshot that. So yeah, it's almost 4:45. So to wrap up the stream, let me just go over a spread trade that I entered this afternoon, and it was on Bull, which is Webull. I know a lot of people use them for as their broker. I personally don't transact my trades on Webull, but I do use their desktop application for charting. They've got a really great program for charting. I transact my trades with the bigger brokers: Fidelity, Vanguard, Schwab. Sometimes if I'm trying to short shares, I'll go to Tasty Trade because they typically have short shares available when the bigger brokers don't. But I tend to do my transactions with the bigger brokers. I'm just more comfortable transacting my trades with the bigger brokers, and I tend to get favorable fills on the bigger brokers compared to some of the stories I hear about the fills on Robinhood and Webull, people getting terrible fills and lots of slippage on their stops and stuff like that. I don't really experience any of that nonsense with the bigger brokers, and that's why I choose to do my business with them. Nothing against Webull, because I love Webull for charting. It's got its uses. And I am longer term bullish on Bull. So anyways, the trade I did on Bull, just I can have Bull on. I'm going to put Lennar on the left because WOR is just, it's getting a negative reaction. I think more people are interested in Lennar right now. So I'll leave Lennar on the left. But for Bull, what I did today, this afternoon, I do think there's probably some support around 850 on Bull. And what I did today was I opened up a neutral to bullish spread trade. You can see on this volume profile, lots of volume came in the mid 8s, so I'm comfortable with the spread I opened today. And this is just kind of a recap of the trade I alerted in the Discord. Now, obviously, to get these trades in real time, you're going to have to join the Discord. So only the Discord people get these in real time. But this, yes, satire. So this bull trade, right? It's neutral to bullish. This was the setup here. It was only a 50-cent wide spread, which means the buying power needed to trade one spread on this would be $50. Is what your broker would kind of tie up while the trade's open. And of course, if it's a winning trade, then you know, you get that released back to you. But this was a neat trade. I usually target 20% return on capital on these spread trades. There's a probability of this being a winner, chance of profit 61% according to option strat. How I put this trade together was on one trade ticket, I sold to open the 850 put, okay? And on the very same trade ticket, I bought to open the $8 put. That formed a 50-cent wide spread. So for every one spread, you need $50 to trade this. So pretty affordable, right? A lot of people can take this trade. Unlike some of the bigger stocks that have 5 wide spreads, you know, just for one spread on a 5 wide, you're going to need $500 just for one spread on those. So I like to trade the smaller ones because I know more of the Discord members can get into this with me. Of course, I do still trade the bigger spreads also. But this spread paid almost $20 a spread. The max loss around $30. That's the most you can ever lose on that. So I know it's not quite a one-to-one risk reward, but the out of the money credit spreads, that's just kind of how it rolls with those. But nonetheless, if you're going to determine what the profit would be, there's 2 ways to determine that. You can either do return on capital, which is the buying power needed for the trade, or you can do return on risk. It just depends how you want to look at it. But in this trade, you know, if you get filled around $20, then that's your potential profit on one spread. I did 10 of these. I did a handful of them because they're only 50-cent wide spread. I did 10 of these. I'm only tying up $500 for 10 spreads. So that's what I did. But if you can make $20 on each spread and you're only risking 30, that's a 66% return on risk, which is what we call ROR. If you're doing the potential profit based on buying power, then that's going to be ROC, which is return on capital. So I usually do return on capital when I figure out how much money I'm potentially making, because I want to know how much money I'm making on the money I'm tying up. That's what I prefer to gauge it off of. So, and like I've said before, I do target a minimum of 20% return on capital on these spreads. Well, this particular one, if you collect 20 a spread and you're putting up $50 for each one, boom, that pays 40%. So I've doubled what I like. My minimum profit target is I like to get at least 20% on these. This one pays 40%. So I'm very much okay with the amount of potential return on this trade. I've doubled what I'd like to usually target. So I like the trade. It's nice and tight. I know the spread is real close. I mean, bull was trading at 8.56 when I opened this up. And that's basically where it closed the regular session. So really, nothing's really changed with the trade yet. But let's talk about risk management. You know, how do you know when to stop out of this thing? Because I don't want to take a $30 loss, max. You know, that's my max loss. I don't want to take max loss on these things if I'm wrong about it. And the way to do that is you could, since this spread is real tight to the close of bull, I'll just use my break even at expiration. So at expiration, which is December 26th. It's only 10 calendar days for this trade, so it's not like I'm married to it, right? And if you minus out the half day for Christmas Eve and the full day off on Thursday, this is only 6.5 trading days on this trade. So, you know, we're going to know if this is going to work out pretty quickly, aren't we? So in this situation for risk management, I'm just going to use my break even. Now that's your break even at expiration. Okay. So real simple. I basically just want the stock price of bull to stay above my break even at expiration level, which is basically 8.30. As long as bull stays above 8.30 by next Friday, this is going to be a winning trade. That's how spreads work. I don't really care too much about the little intraday volatility. Like, you know, it's trading at 856 when I opened it. You know, it could go down to 840. It could go back up to 860, 870. It could go back down to 840 again, you know, during the time this trade's open. I don't care if it does that. As long as it stays above 8.30, I will stay in the trade. Don't overcomplicate this stuff. It's as simple as that. And if 830 gets threatened and breached, and the price of bull does not recover back above 830 quickly, and when I mean quickly, I mean within like a 1 hour candle print, maybe 2 hours. I'll give it a little extra hour sometimes. That's what I mean by recovering quickly. So it's okay if my break even gets breached, you know, briefly. We've seen it. It'll wick down and then it'll go back up. And people will stop out of it, and then they'll be upset that, oh, you know, I stopped out and now it's going in my direction. You know, I'll give it a chance. You know, I'll give it like a 1 hour candle print to see if it recovers quickly, because a lot of times it will. And you just prevented yourself from getting stopped out, and it ends up being a winning trade. So you got to kind of think about it, right? If there's anything I can share with how my thought process goes on how to manage these types of trades, and it helps someone out there that's listening right now, then hey, I'm happy for that. I like helping people. So that's all I care about on this trade. Just bull staying, and so I have a cushion. I have over like a 25-cent cushion on this, so it could even pull back a little bit, but I'd still be okay as long as it stays above my break even at expiration. I'm good. So we'll know real fast. This has a potential return on capital of 40%. I opened up 10 of these, only tied up $500. So I'm comfortable with that. So let me move this back over. But anyways, that's just kind of give everyone an idea that who hasn't attended these streams before, the types of trades that I do. You know, usually my trades are multi-leg options, a little more on the advanced side, but that's okay. That's why I'm here. Between here and there on YouTube, I just seen your comment. That's hilarious. Wonder if Lennar tried offering 50-year mortgages. I'm still wrapping my head around that whole thing. I got more digging to do on that one. Because, yeah, I guess it'll make it a little bit more affordable. But if you don't aggressively pay off that mortgage, even by just making one extra mortgage payment towards principal every year, you're going to be tied to that lender for your whole life, right? So I think the only way I would entertain a 50-year mortgage is if I had a plan to maybe make a few extra principal payments per year. That'll cut that 50 probably more than in half. You know, I mean, shoot, you just make one extra payment a year. I think that shaves off like 7 to 10 years on a 30-year. So, you know, 50-year, you know, kind of do the math there, the ratio. But that'd probably be the only way I'd entertain a 50-year mortgage. Yeah, it might be easier to get into it. But I would definitely have a plan, and not financial advice, just what I do personally, because I've been in real estate for 18 years. That's what I've been doing over here in Florida. But that'd probably be the only way I would entertain that. So if I had a plan to make a few extra principal payments each year, and then you could totally, knock that 50 years down to way, way, way lower. So just my personal opinion regarding that. Sorry I missed that comment and just now got to that, but appreciate the engagement. But yeah, it's been almost an hour. That's really all the time I got for today. Again, Lennar's earnings web call is tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. I'll put the link back on my screen one more time. Y'all can bookmark that. Go to that link tomorrow. Maybe arrive, 10, 15 minutes early. They might have you fill out a little form asking for your name and email. Don't worry, you're not going to get spammed. They're just keeping track of how many people attend the web call. You'll be fine. But yeah, other than that, my name's The Swinging Bull with PB Alerts. My real name is Benjamin. Most people call me Ben. If you like the content, follow me on my X account. The handle is swingingbull_1. I do put a lot of good content on my X account. I put trade ideas on there. I put all kinds of stuff on there. Also, I'm not really here to sell you anything. Of course, we do have premium Discord if you're interested in just jumping in head first. But I like to give out free stuff. And if you want 4 high probability trade setups sent to your inbox every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, check the very first link in the description. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. And we've gotten a lot of good feedback on the performance of those trade setups. So I just wanted to offer something free to everyone while I close the stream out. But I hope everyone enjoyed. Again, I'm The Swinging Bull with PB Alerts. I hope everyone has a fantastic night. And until next time, I'll see everyone in the very next stream. Cheers.